Good morning and welcome to our usual mix of fun and faith, of the meaningful and the merry, the sublime and the ridiculous, the deep and the dizzy, praiseworthy stories and cringeworthy jokes. It's Tea in the Hall.
To tea in the hall, come one and come all, from Saturdays at 9. There's no bacon rolls, no scones, no snowballs, and nothing to drink at all. But we will share friendship and fellowship, fun quizzes, some stories, some talk. So mat yer in tea and a biscuit all day. Please join us for tea in the hall. Oh, the doors are shut, the church all locked up. There's nothing going on in the hall, but just the same, we'll praise God's name. He doesn't change at all. So now it's time in your house and mine to answer to the call. Bring your in cup and come and sup with us, tea in the hall.
Now we get the chance to give our brains some much needed exercise. Quiz time, and the topic of our quiz this week is, of course, cats. Lots of things to do with cats in different ways. Question 1. What is unusual about a Manx cat? What is unusual about a Manx cat? And a Manx cat has no tail. It's resident usually in the Isle of Man. Question 2. What name is given to domestic cats that were born in or have reverted to a wild state? What name is given to domestic cats that were born in or have reverted to a wild state? And the answer is feral. Question 3. Which US president had a cat called Socks? Which US president had a cat called Socks? And that was Bill Clinton. Question 4. True or false? Cats can be right pawed or left pawed. True or false? Cats can be right pawed or left pawed. That is true, just like right-handedness and left-handedness. Question 5. How many claws does a cat have? How many claws does a cat have? And the answer is 18. 5 on each front paw and 4 on each back paw. Question 6. In which country in ancient times were cats said to be gods? In which country in ancient times were cats said to be gods? And the answer is Egypt. Apparently, when a cat died, the family would shave off their eyebrows, their own eyebrows, as a sign of mourning. Please don't try this at home. Question 7. What's the name of T.S. Eliot's mystery cat? What's the name of T.S. Eliot's mystery cat? The answer is Macavity. Macavity is not there. Question 8. What's the name for a group of cats? Like a flock of birds or a herd of sheep, cattle. What's the name for a group of cats? It's a clowder. I didn't know that until this week. A clowder of cats. Question 9. Is a cat's brain more similar to a dog's brain or a human brain? Is a cat's brain more similar to a dog's brain or a human brain? And the answer is it's more similar to a human brain. Question 10. Complete the line of this song. I'm a cat, I'm a Glasgow cat, and my name is... Complete the line of this song. I'm a cat, I'm a Glasgow cat, and my name is... Sam the Skull, sung famously by Alistair MacDonald. Question 11. Which decade were cat's eyes on the road invented? Question 11. Which decade were cat's eyes on the road invented? And the answer is the 1930s, 1934 to be precise. And the final question, 12. Which famous scientist invented the cat flap? Which famous scientist invented the cat flap? And that was, amazingly, Sir Isaac Newton, who also discovered gravity and calculated gravity. Apparently when he was trying to do that, he needed to look at the angle of the sun and how much light there was in the day. And the cat and her kittens kept going in and out the door and ruining his experiments. So he got the joiner in to make the first cat flap in the world. Some of these were a wee bit difficult, maybe. So 7's good, 7's not bad. 7, 8 out of 12 is good. So I hope you enjoyed our cat quiz. Many people who watch Tea in the Hall, especially from outside New Cumnock, are amazed at the depth and the variety of talented people that there are in the village or related to people in the village. And this next guest is no exception. Morag Ferns is a gifted player of a trombone, and she is going to play for us now.
Good morning everybody. I'd just like to play a couple of tunes for you in my trombone. The first one I'm going to play is Panis Angelicus.
Thank you, Morag. It's amazing how every instrument, I suppose like every person, has its own particular beauty. And we're going to hear again from Morag later on today. And now we come to our usual slot of slides and music. And as we said, this is Scatter-day, so you can just guess what the pictures are going to be this week. If you're a cat person, you will be in your element. If you're not a cat person, I hope you can be converted. That was delightful, and thanks to the many people who submitted their cat pictures. there are maybe a couple of wee stories I want to tell about the cats. The first story is about probably the most special cat there, a cat called Merlin. And here he is. Merlin is 22 years old. The amazing Merlin was a street cat in Khartoum, Sudan. He was rescued as a tiny kitten and gifted to Sue Ellen Hall, who was an American missionary there, at a Bible study at Reinhardt and Esther's house. He was so small that he was able to fit in her pocket at that time, but eventually he weighed over 8 kilos at his heaviest. Sue Ellen and Merlin were great buddies, although Merlin did have one fall from grace, right out of Sue Ellen's apartment window on the 4th floor. Yes, 4 floors down, but he survived the fall. But then he spent 3 days up high in the neighbour's tree because he couldn't figure out how to climb down, and also there were dogs in both yards. I hope you're calculating, because I don't know how many lives Merlin has already lost already of his 9. Sue Ellen finally finished her time in Khartoum and returned to the States, and she brought Merlin with her. So he emigrated in 2008. Merlin now shares cat space with Griselda and Bianca and Monty. His favourite food is tilapia fish, and he's a bit skinny, but that's hardly surprising because he is quite old. He was 22 years old in May, and if he's 22 years old in cat years, that makes him the ripe old age of 104. I should have said, of course, that Sue Ellen came back to the States, and she is a minister in the Presbyterian Church in Texarkana, Arkansas, which means, of course, that Merlin is the minister's cat. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the amazing Merlin. And now we call on one of our regular contributors, Lottie Hell, to tell us an endearing and meaningful wee story about something that happened at the Sunday school.
A Sunday school teacher decided to have her young class memorise one of the most quoted passages in the Bible, Psalm 23. She gave the youngsters a month to learn the chapter. Young Robbie was excited about the task, but he just couldn't remember the psalm. After much practice, he could hardly get past the first line. On the day that the children were scheduled to recite Psalm 23 in front of the congregation, Robbie was so nervous. When his turn came, he stepped up to the mic and said proudly, "The Lord is my shepherd, and that's all I need to know."
Thank you, Lottie, for that lovely story. And thank you for your support over all these weeks. I was driving along the Afton Road the other day, and look at the hill that's across from the cemetery, lovely rounded hill, and there were some animals, sheep or cows, dotted right along the top. And it reminded me of the verse in the Bible that says, "The cattle on 1,000 hills are his." And then lots of other verses came into my mind that tell us how loving God is, that the sparrow is under his gaze and that you're the apple of his eye. And yet I know, and I'm sure we all know, times when we're like the people that Isaiah talked about when he said, "Do you think your cause is disregarded by your God? Do you think God doesn't really care?" So this very simple wee country song talks about these thoughts about ourselves and about God. Oh, the cattle on 1,000 hills are his, and the sparrow rests beneath his constant loving gaze. You're the apple of his eye, so tell me why you think your cause is disregarded by your God. Oh, the cattle on 1,000 hills are his, and the sparrow rests beneath his constant loving gaze. You're the apple of his eye, so tell me why you think your cause is disregarded by your God. Do you think that he's forsaken you? Do you think that you don't matter, that he'll never see you through? Do you hear the voice that tempts you to despair? Staying strong is too much trouble, and does he really care? Does God really care? Oh, the cattle on 1,000 hills are his, and the sparrow rests beneath his constant loving gaze. You're the apple of his eye, and tell me why you think your cause is disregarded by your God. Oh, the cattle on 1,000 hills are his, and the sparrow rests beneath his constant loving gaze. You're the apple of his eye, so tell me why you think your cause is disregarded by your God. We're only human, I'll grant you that much. We get overwhelmed and wonder, where is God's loving touch? On the road of faith we fall along the way, and we think it all depends on us. So stop and hear me say, oh, the cattle on 1,000 hills are his, and the sparrow rests beneath his loving constant gaze. You're the apple of his eye, and that is why I know your cause is well regarded by your God. Oh, the cattle on 1,000 hills are his, and the sparrow rests beneath his constant loving gaze. You're the apple of his eye, and I know why that your cause is well regarded by your God. You're the apple of his eye, and that is why I know that you are well regarded by your God. And we listen again to Morag playing for us.
Well, I hope you're all enjoying your tea this morning, and I hope you like my new top. It's the My Name is Dodie Foundation in support of MND. So the next tune I'm going to play for you today is from Les Miserables, and it's called Bring Him Home.
Thanks to Morag, and thanks also to Christine Wilson for accompanying her on that particular song. That piece won for Morag the solo competition that was held for Sankaran District Silver Band. And as we think about the Silver Band, we know that everybody has different problems in their families, as individuals, at work, in the community. And obviously it's a difficult time for people, organisations like brass bands, thinking to the future with social distancing and other regulations still being in place, and looking really towards an unknown future. So we wish Christine and the band all the best as they grapple with these problems. And because I'm wishing them all the best, then there are no brass band or silver band jokes this week. I'm going to keep them all till next week. Many a rainy day in days gone by, we used to play I Packed My Bag and I Went to Rothsay. We used to play I Spy, and the other one we used to play was a game called The Minister's Cat, where you had to use a different adjective right round the circle for a different letter of the alphabet. So here's the Minister's Cat, which is of course Suki. Suki is an adorable, beautiful, clever, delighted, elegant, funny, graceful, hungry, intelligent, jittery, knowledgeable, likeable, magnificent, noble, overeating, precious, quixotic, radiant, special, terrific, underneath the duvet, vociferous, whiny, excellent, youthful, zany cat. Over the weeks in Tea in the Hall, we've had some very fine musical performances, instrumentals, and a lot of nice, really good solo singers. But for the first time in Tea in the Hall, we're going to have a choir with us, and they're going to sing Edelweiss.
Different words. If it's good enough for humans, it's good enough for us. And these words will help our furthest friends to remember what their life should consist of, what their routine should be, and who it should revolve around. Learn this song, humans, and never forget it. Human beings, far less will greet me, stroke my head, cheeks and chin, cuddle me ever so sweetly, jump out of bed and refill my bowl with whiskers. I am Felix, giving me water too, and dreamies aplenty to feast with, and keep my litter box clean and white, clean and white forever. Play with me, then let me be, with catnip for my great endeavours. That's the deuce, now the don'ts, things not to do to your house cat. If you forget, you'll regret. I'll keep adding clause to your contract. No fancy callers, no dressing up, no card trips, violins, water strangers, no deafening noise, no playing with my toys, and no dogs my life to endanger. Now we're clear, you are here, only to serve and protect me. All my needs you will heed, not for one moment neglect me. Let me sleep all day long, scratch, bite, meow, and hiss. Then you'll find humankind in your cat's life, your true purpose. Yes, you'll find humankind in your cat's life, your true purpose.
Hello, I'm the Reverend I am Jolie. M as in M for James Bond. And Jolie, that's the French for jolly. At least, I think it is. And if it's no, then it's pretty like it. And I'm here today, as I always am, full of delightedness, essential activity, wrong teeth, to cheer you up if you're feeling no very good, to put a smile on your face, just like I've got a smile on mine, to lift you out of the depth of despair. Now, I ken some of you will be saying that you're no in the depth of despair. Well, just wait 5 minutes and you will be. We've had a lovely wee programme this morning, but your minister, Helen, Helen, she's no stranger to you. Well, she's no stranger than she was when you first met her anyway. Although, I'd have to get back to you on that. Anyway, she's my friend because
Everybody should have at least one. And she was a bit remiss. When Morag was playing these pieces, she didn't tell you that the word trombone in French means paperclip. I bet you don't believe me, and I bet you'll go away and Google it. But the word trombone in French is paperclip. I think Helen was just feared to say to Morag, because the last time she said it to her, she got a paperclip round the ear. And that's off a stairway, a trombone. I got a letter this week, but it wasn't Dear Angelina. Forgot to tell you I was called Angelina. It was East Ayrshire Council. Tea in the Hall, got an award. Head and shoulders above everybody else. For somebody as wee as me, that's off a good. Head and shoulders. Head and shoulders. Don't know what they meant by that. Head and shoulders above everybody else. For Tea in the Hall, they said that I used the most recycled material as anybody else. No, I didn't quite ken what to make of that either. Anyway, I've only got one wee thing to share with you today. I had a letter, Dear Angelina, and she was asking this woman about collars. Now, these are called clerical collars. Nothing else, especially in a week when we've been focusing on cats. Clerical collars. She wondered what the difference was. And I hadn't really thought about it. I was that busy at university trying to persuade folk that a matriculation number wasn't a mobile phone number because it started with 72. But anyway, I did some phoning round about some of my colleagues and they explained it, and I'm sure you'll be enlightened as well. This wee collar, it's called a tab. And this collar, it's called a detachable collar. That's fine. Well, what's the difference? I asked. Well, they said, folk that wear these wee tab collars, they're usually a wee bit lazy and they don't preach too much and they don't do too much research and they're having fun and laughing and joking. Not very serious at all. And the folk that wear the detachable collars, oh, they can preach for hours. And they use Latin, and they use Greek, and they ken Hebrew. Oh, I says to them, does that mean then that the bigger the collar, the better the minister? Aye, they said, the bigger the collar, the better the minister. The very thing. I went to Amazon and I got myself one of these, because the better the collar, the bigger the collar, the better the minister. And I'll tell you what, it's off a good, because it has stretched my neck and I can actually see over the steering wheel now. And it's off a good if folk want to throw things at you. Aye, the bigger the collar, the better the minister. Have a good week. This hot water melts off a good. It's off a good. Goodbye. See you next week. God bless.